Let's see. Hey, how's it going? Chime in and let me know if you can hear me. Hey, everyone. Someone please chime in and let me know if you can hear me. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. I hope everyone is feeling well. Day 2.
I feel weak.
Oh yeah, how much of how many fruits and stuff have you been consuming today?
None today. I started fasting yesterday. I went damn near the whole day without eating till 5, and then I started eating fruit. I stopped at 8. I pretty much doing the same thing today.
Oh, okay. Well, you kind of got like almost a head start on the water fasting portion. So that would make sense in regards to your weakness because you're probably maybe, I don't know, 12 to, I'll just say 12 hours of not eating. And so you're definitely in your fat burning mode. So
yeah, that's another thing. I lost 10 pounds in 2 days.
That's awesome. That's good.
That's why I just kept doing it. I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's working.
Yeah, and the longer you do that is because right now you're just intermittent fasting, but like I don't know if I don't remember if I went into detail about it yesterday, but you're not giving your body any glucose at the moment because fruits has fructose. And so there is no glucose for it to pull from. And the longer you fast, even when it's intermittent fasting, your body begins to pull from the storage, like the fat storage from the muscle tissues and things like that. And so you're literally operating out of ketones right now. And that's amazing. So cool. That weight is literally going to just keep falling off.
I keep doing it, so I must be doing something right.
Facts. Let's see. How's everybody else doing? I see you, Kenyatta. Hey, fam. Let's see. Hey, Paris.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. Busy, tired. Ash is actually on set. She's filming a podcast for someone. So she won't be here tonight again, but she'll definitely be here tomorrow night. We'll both be on tomorrow night. But after that, you guys probably won't see me no more because I'm going to be on set of a feature film. So I'm going to try to slide in when I got time. Oh, you're looking good, though. Y'all see you in Paris. Hey, fam.
Thank you.
How y'all feeling? How y'all been feeling?
I've been feeling good. I started my water portion because I started a day early than everybody else, or the scheduled fast. So I started my water. Let's see, I stopped eating fruit like around 2 today. So
okay,
I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired, but I'm doing okay.
Are you going to work or anything tomorrow, or are you staying at home?
No, yeah, I've been working. Yesterday, I went to work out a little bit, but I didn't do too much. Well, I didn't do any weights or use any weights, so I did it kind of light. But I'm working. The only day I have off is Friday and Saturday. So once that water part really hit me, I should be at home in my bed anyway, so I should be good.
That's perfect. You becoming an OG in this fasting game. So keep it up. About a couple of more months, you'd be a year that you've done it consistently every month.
Yeah.
So yeah, we proud. When I tell Ash, I know she probably gonna jump for joy. Y'all know she goofy. How's everybody else feeling? How's everybody else doing? Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns? I hopped on kind of early to try to address any questions before diving into the lesson. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Do you have any advice? I've kind of been cramping a little bit today. Like
That's
muscle spasms or
that's definitely natural. One of the ways to actually alleviate that and or get rid of the cramping, because right now your body is literally going through a detoxification process. So you're going to experience all types of uncomfortable things, but those cold water therapy that we suggested, when I say it almost works miracles, that'll probably help you faster than anything else. Relax as much as you can also, especially considering you're doing more of an intermittent fast than consuming fruits all day like everybody else. Yeah. So definitely do some cold water, like take a shower, start it off warm, and then be in that thing for about 5 minutes cold. Oh man, okie dokie. Did everybody get the email from last night's recording and the information in that email?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, it's right here. This.
Oh, Ned, I had a question. Did my other email come through to y'all to the new email? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Where you were supposed to send like your blood work, or which one?
Yeah, you had me send it to another email, but I'm not sure if it went through.
I don't think I ever got it there.
No. Okay. I'll resend it after this. I think it was yours because I don't know what happened, but I think you had me send it to another one of yours, but I don't think it went through. So I'm gonna try to send it again after this.
Cool. Somebody's trying to join the Zoom meeting from yesterday. Did anybody have an issue logging in today?
No, not today. Sorry, hi, my name is Mike from sunny England. Yeah, I had trouble yesterday, but I'm fine today.
Okay, perfect. I don't even know what the issue was yesterday.
No trouble today.
Perfect. Okay. 704. Okie dokie. Let's see. Promotion tab of Gmail. Yeah, that's weird. We try to tell everybody to save our contact to their email so it won't go to the spam folder and promotion or junk mail, but I don't know if people aren't aware of how to do that or not, but it tends to have cause a lot of problems with people not receiving or, not receiving the information in time and stuff like that. It sucks. Okay. Give it about 2 more minutes and I'm just gonna dive right on into the lesson today when we start the water. Do we stick to the times for the sheet for the days? No, when you start the water, it's literally just water. You don't follow anything else because you're consuming nothing but water. No infused waters, no herbs, no nothing but just the water. And so those days you kind of gotta stay ahead of the gun. Like, don't allow yourself to get hungry. Most of the times when we think we're hungry, off top, we're not even really hungry, we're thirsty. So just try to avoid getting to that mode to where you think you're really starving, because most of the times you won't be. Your mind will try to trick you into thinking that you are. It'll start releasing all types of chemicals and hormones, and that's where it becomes difficult. That's where a lot of just emotional things come about during those times. But yeah, just stay ahead of it. And yeah. Here, share my screen. Whatever the, for the activated charcoal pills, just follow whatever the instructions are per that product, wherever you bought it from. So if it says take 2 at night or 2 in the morning, just do what that says, because it should be good enough. The call tonight shouldn't be as long as last night. We had a lot of questions and I was trying to make sure I tried to get the most of them answered in a certain amount of time, but tonight definitely won't be that long because I personally have to start packing to go out of town to be on set. So I'm gonna try to keep it under the hour thing that we normally try to do, or that I normally try to do. Ash is a little more long-winded, but definitely, Paris, I see you laughing, but I'm gonna definitely try to keep it short. So with that, I'm gonna get into it. I'm ready to share my screen. Today, I'm gonna touch on obesity. To me, it's one of the symptoms. It's correlated with heart disease and diabetes and everything else. And that's another one of those things where doctors are treating everything but the actual root cause of obesity. And it's like everybody is clueless as to what's causing it. And it's kind of a personal subject for me, myself, because I used to be classified as obese maybe 10 years, what is it, 2022? So from 2012 to like 2016, I was definitely classified as obese. And so the struggles I went through those whole 4 years trying to lose weight and doing the hydroxy cut and everything else that the media was marketing, none of it worked. And so I kind of got discouraged and all types of stuff. And it wasn't until I literally changed my diet and the weight fell off. Just being honest, like I wasn't going to the gym as much. I didn't even have the time to, but when I switched my diet, the weight fell off on its own. And when I noticed it was falling off, I kind of just kept it up. And yeah, so with that, what is obesity? Obesity is defined in terms of a person's body mass index, calculated as a person's weight in kilograms divided by the square of their height in meters. A BMI greater than 30 is defined as obese. I don't know who created this little, what y'all see on the screen, by whose standards and things like that, but just according to everywhere you see online, and American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, the CDC, whoever, they all say, you know, the BMI greater than 30 is defined as obese. Sorry, give me 1 second, because I started freezing up on my end. Can everybody see what's on my screen?
Yep.
What do y'all see? I'm sorry.
Body mass index.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so for more than like 30 years or so, doctors have been recommending this low-fat, calorie-reduced diet as the treatment of choice for obesity for the most part. Later on down the line, they started prescribing actual medications that's supposed to help combat obesity and stuff like that. But again, they're all trying to treat the problems associated with with obesity, but not the obesity itself. And I had a doctor that was obese one time, and I asked, you know, like, if me and you were going through the same thing and you being obese, then why is it, you know, why is it that you are obese, being a doctor? Like, the advice you're giving me is apparently not working for you. So we both doing something wrong. And in that moment, I think I may have hurt her feelings or struck a nerve, but I wasn't even trying to be funny or judgmental or anything. It was a genuine question. Like, you're a doctor, you're prescribing me prescriptions for, you know, weight loss, yet you're in the same situation I'm in. So something is wrong. But the standard prescription outside of actual medication, everybody was saying to eat less, move more. Sounds perfectly reasonable, but you know, why didn't it work? Like, some people want to lose weight. They're following the advice of everybody that's telling them this and that. The mind is willing, the flesh is weak. You consider self-discipline, dedication. especially when it comes to doctors, they go out and they get their undergraduate degree, they go to medical school, they get this internship, this residency, fellowship. So it's hard to believe that doctors lack the willpower to follow their own advice, because obviously I feel like they're even following their own advice. But that also leaves us to question the possibility that the conventional advice that we've been following is simply wrong. And if it is, then our entire understanding of obesity is literally flawed. So at the end of the day, we literally have to start at the very beginning, understanding of the issue, the illness, or the disease known as human obesity. What causes it? Excess calories literally is what everybody's been saying for years. Excess calories may certainly be the proximate cause of weight gain, but it's definitely not the ultimate cause. And if anybody doesn't know the difference between approximate and the ultimate, I'm gonna break it down. The proximate cause is immediately responsible, whereas the ultimate cause is literally what starts the chain of events. So as we see on this PowerPoint, we see alcoholism. What causes alcoholism? The proximate cause, drinking too much alcohol, which we all know is undeniably true, but it's really not useful, because telling somebody stop drinking too much alcohol is not literally treating the cause of the alcoholism. And so it's not useful. The serious question is, what is the ultimate cause of why alcoholism occurs? This could literally be due to the addictive nature of the alcohol itself, a family history of it, excessive stress in their home, work, whatever, or just an addictive personality. But that's literally where the real disease, like where that lies in regards to that. So understanding the ultimate cause leads to the effective treatments, like rehab in this sense, using alcoholism, rehab, network from your colleagues, family, and friends. That's more effective than telling somebody to stop drinking alcohol, because now we're getting to the root cause of it. Now, if we apply this same exact thing to obesity, we know that the proximate cause is consuming more calories than you expend, calories in, calories out. So if more calories in than out is the cause, the proximate cause of this obesity, then the unspoken, most unpopular answer to the question must be, it's a personal choice, right? Probably not, probably is, but at the core, we choose to eat what we want to eat. We choose to sit and eat and watch TV instead of exercising, and we choose to eat this instead of that. And so we all know we have the choices to eat and choose what we want to eat. But through this reasoning, obesity is now perceived as a character defect if we go with that logic. So people are looking at you like it's your fault. Like they're looking at you like, you're failing to do what's right, because obviously it's, you're the reason why you gained so much weight. And so at this point, that's causing excessive amount of stress and anxiety. You feel like a failure and la. Eating too much, exercising too little. You're walking around feeling like the blame is on you. And this is crazy, because for decades, all the way up until 1977, everyone was researching, studying, and trying to figure out what was causing the weight gain issues in America, and didn't know whether to blame sugar or dietary fat. I'm not sure if y'all knew this, but that issue was settled in 1977, like I just said, by the US Senate at the time. His name was George McGovern. He literally decided on his own that dietary fat was guilty, stating that it alone caused heart disease and obesity, and that resulted in the dietary goals for the US. So as an entire nation, we began to follow nutritional advice from a politician. So this is when that whole eat less fat and more carbs became a thing. Just like that is crazy, y'all, because with no scientific evidence, the formerly fattening the carbohydrate became the marketed thing to promote, when this Senate decided that that was the cause of obesity. So 1980, they rolled out this infamous food pyramid, as we see. The foods at the bottom of the pyramid represented the foods we were supposed to eat every day. Those foods was bread, pastas, and potato. That's literally what they put out and advised all of America to eat, to follow this guideline, to start eating everything that we weren't supposed to be eating for the most part. And then the American Heart Association, they didn't make it no better. But at its core, they're all one and the same. They all sponsor one another and things like that. But nobody was expecting what was going to happen, which we all see on this. It was a complete increase in obesity on top of a whole lot of other diseases. So then sometimes we question, is obesity inherited? It is obvious that obesity, quote unquote, I got my hands up, runs in families. Obese children often have obese siblings. Obese children become obese adults. They then go on to have obese children, and childhood obesity is literally associated with a 200% to 400% increased risk of adult obesity. This is literally a fact. The controversy revolves around whether this trend is a genetic or environmental problem, because everybody overlooks the fact that families, we share the same genetics, but we also share the same genetic characteristics that could lead to obesity. We all eat the same. We grow up the same. We do the same thing our mothers did and our grandparents did and our ancestors did. We all eat the same thing. Therefore, since we're eating the same things, we're all developing the same diseases and illnesses. A lot of this stuff is inherited, and a lot of things like, genetics is passed down, especially epigenetics. But just because you're predisposed to any disease or illness does not mean it is fixed. That's with any and everything all the way across the board. Just because you're predisposed to something does not mean that it's fixed. You literally have the ability to prevent it, or it won't happen to you. So with that, we have to break down how we process food. Calories is what I focused on because that's what they were deeming obesity to be associated with. Eat more calories, burn more calories. But what's a calorie? A calorie literally is a unit of energy. That's literally it. The way they found that out, they burn different foods in a lab, and the amount of heat released is measured to determine the caloric value for that food. So everything we eat contains calories. The food enters the stomach where it's mixed with the stomach acid. That's released into the small intestine. Nutrients are extracted throughout that digestive process through to the small and large intestines, and everything that remains is excreted as stool. You have your bowel movement. Proteins are broken down into their building blocks, which is amino acids, and then these are used to build and repair the body's tissues, and then the excess is stored. Fats are directly absorbed into the body. Carbs are broken down into their building blocks, which are sugars. Proteins, fats, and carbs all provide caloric energy for the body, but differ greatly in their metabolic processing. What that means is this basically results in a different hormonal stimuli. Why do we gain weight? The amount of energy the body uses in a certain period of time. This is basically the definition for caloric expenditure, if nobody knew. That means that's the amount of energy that our body uses in a certain period of time. Everything our bodies do require energy. We are energy. We are energetic beings. So when we're sleeping, the body is still performing a myriad of processes, including breathing, digesting, healing, and so forth. All of this is energy. Everything, every system in our body is regulated. No system in the body is unregulated. So hormones, because the last slide I said the results is different hormonal stimuli. Hormones tightly regulate every single system in our body. The thyroid, the parathyroid, sympathetic, parasympathetic, respiratory, circulatory system, renal, gastrointestinal, adrenal systems, literally all of them are under hormonal control. All of them. Not a single one is not under hormonal control. So is body fat. The body actually has multiple systems to control body weight. The problem of fat production, okay, the problem of fat accumulation is really a problem of distribution of energy. Too much energy is diverted into fat production as opposed to, say, increasing your body heat production, if that makes any sense to y'all. So we don't really have control over how the fat is accumulated once it's distributed, like as energy. It goes where it wants to go, depending on like your body. But the vast majority of this energy expenditure is controlled automatically, and exercise is literally the only thing that is under our conscious control. Everything else we have no control of. It's the body is really regulated. The autonomic nervous system literally means a lot of stuff goes on automatically without us even knowing. So that's how, in essence, how that works. The key assumption, though, of that theory that reducing caloric intake leads to weight loss is false. I'm just putting that out there. It's literally false, because if it were true, then those methods that they've been telling us to apply since the 90s would have been proven to work. Obesity wouldn't have been, increasing over the years as much as it has. We just keep hoping that it's going to work somehow, and I feel like we hope this because it's being shoved down our throats. We got doctors, dietitians, the government, scientists, everybody saying like eat less, move more. I remember when Obama was in office, what was it, Michelle, she was out there doing a whole campaign like let's move, to try to get people to be more active and lose weight. But that's literally what they've been pushing, eat less, move more, want. And it has not been working. Food obsession, because that's the core of why we love to eat. We've had some people on TikTok tell us they'd rather get cancer than to starve. And it blew my mind for somebody to say something so wild. I wouldn't wish cancer on my worst enemy, but to hear people saying something like, I'd rather have cancer than to starve, it's like you have to be toxic. You have to be something wrong in the head to even say such a thing. But that's just what it is. People are, food obsession. People are obsessed with food. Not realizing that we're all hormonally driven. Functional magnetic resonance imaging studies show that areas of the brain controlling emotion and cognition light up in the response to food stimuli. Areas of the prefrontal cortex involved with restraint show decreased activity. In other words, it is harder for people who have lost weight to resist food. We do not eat too much because we choose to, or because food is too delicious, or because of salt, sugar, and all of that, or we craving it. We literally eat too much because our own brain compels us to. So people that obsess about food, all they can think about is food. Interest in everything else diminishes. And this behavior is not some strange affliction of just the obese people. Like there are people slim and of all sizes that are literally obsessed with food. Ash is obsessed with food. She eats like grown twins, men. Like she eat like grown men, twins. For those of y'all that don't know and haven't seen Ash yet, she's slim. She's really slim. But it doesn't stop her from being obsessed with food, just like the next person that is obese or overtly obese or whatever. Everybody at this point is obsessed with food. So with that, that's what makes it entirely hormonally driven and normal, because it is normal, but our bodies through hunger and satiety signaling is compelling us to get more food. So losing weight triggers two important responses. First, total energy expenditure is immediately and indefinitely reduced in order to conserve the available energy. And then second, the hormonal hunger signaling is immediately and indefinitely amplified in an effort to acquire more food. So literally weight loss results in increased hunger and increased hunger and decreased metabolism. Y'all, this evolutionary survival strategy has a single purpose, and that's literally to make us regain the lost weight. This has nothing to do whatsoever with a lack of willpower, any kind of moral failure, none of that. It's literally a normal hormonal fact of life. We feel hungry, cold, tired, depressed. All of these are real measurable physical effects of calorie restriction. Reduced metabolism and the increased hunger are not the cause of obesity. They are the results. Losing weight causes the reduced metabolism and increased hunger, not the other way around. So like I said, we do not simply make a personal choice to eat more. We eat too much, like people say you eat too much because you choose to, it's just not true. So that goes back up to when I said the ultimate cause, it has to be like our personal choice. So that means that's simply not true. It's almost like, okay, a thermostat. Hold on, I think I got that in here, but let me get to this. Hold on. Here we go, thermostat. So look at it like this. Okay, the thermostat, say your normal room temperature is 70, 72. When this is set, if this is set at 32 instead of 72, it's gonna be too cold. And so because of that, we need more heat. And instead of going straight to the thermostat, let's take the doctor's approach to focus on something else instead of the actual thermostat. So we go out and we buy a portable heater and we plug it in. So that heat is literally the proximate cause of the high temperature, because when you plug that in, the temperature is going to go up in response to that heater, but then the thermostat is going to sense that higher temperature and is going to turn on the AC. So now you got the AC and the heater going back and forth and they neck and neck until the heater breaks. And once that heater breaks, what's going to happen? That thermostat is going to go right back to 32. The mistake here is to just literally focus on the approximate and not the ultimate cause. The ultimate cause of the cold was the low setting of the thermostat. Our failure was that we did not recognize that the house contained a homeostatic mechanism, which was the thermostat. So instead of us going to turn the thermostat up, we went and did something else that had really nothing to do. You know, we could have fixed it by setting the thermostat to the right temperature. This is the reason why diets are so hard and often unsuccessful. And we find ourselves constantly fighting our own body, because as we lose weight, our bodies try to bring it back up. It's gotten so used to that, it's created a set body weight. And it's so used to that, once you lose the weight, it's just like that thermostat is gonna try to bring it back up to what it's used to. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
And since obesity results from a high body set weight, like the thermostat, the treatment for obesity is to lower it, right? But how do we lower our thermostat? Like, it ain't something we can just, you know, tap into internally and say, yeah, let me turn this up or let me turn this down right quick. They were trying to figure this out, and by they, I'm talking about scientists, researchers, doctors, and stuff like that. And with them trying to figure out what's creating this body set weight that nobody is even aware of, they discovered leptin. I got these two slides mixed up. That's what happened. Leptin maintains homeostasis in response to high fat levels through the following effects. Leptin is a hormone, is responsible for letting you know when you're full. There's a Dr. Alfred Froelich, I think, from the University of Vienna in the 1980s. He began to unravel the whole neurohormonal basis of obesity and weight gain. And I think I said 1980, but it's 1890. Like, this is how far back that goes. In 1890, because he tied hypothalamic damage to a young boy who had suddenly became obese and who was eventually diagnosed with a lesion in the hypothalamus area of the brain. So neurons in the hypothalamic areas were somehow responsible for setting an ideal weight, the body set weight. That's literally where that came from. And this was in 1890. Now, if you guys are not aware of the hypothalamus, that's it's a little powerful. It's the hypothalamus integrates incoming signals regarding energy intake and expenditure. So as fat stores are increased, the level of this factor would also increase. This factor circulated through the blood to the hypothalamus, causing the brain to send out signals to reduce the appetite or increase metabolism, thereby reducing fat stores back to normal. This is literally how our bodies protect itself from being overweight. They didn't have a name for leptin then, so when it was finally discovered in 1994, and they tied the name leptin to, leptin, first of all, like I said, is a protein produced by the fat cells. The name leptin was derived from lepto, which is Greek for thin. And when it was discovered, the scientists, they had a field day with it. Like they thought they can take leptin and do whatever they wanted with it because they assumed that leptin could make people thin. It could literally make people lose weight. So what they did, they administered exogenous leptin inside of patients in like these high doses. And as they were waiting to see some type of miraculous turnaround or weight loss, they saw absolutely nothing. So they injected people with this fake leptin to experiment on them, thinking it was gonna make them thin, and none of it worked. What they got out of those studies though, they got out of them studies that the vast majority of obese people are not deficient in leptin. Like their leptin levels are high, not too low. And these high levels didn't produce the desired effect of lowering body fatness. Because obesity at its core is a state of leptin resistance. Like I taught on yesterday about the insulin resistance. Obesity is a state of leptin resistance. Leptin is one of those like primary hormones involved in weight regulation in a normal state. However, when in obesity, it is the secondary hormone because it fails the casualty test. The casualty test is like when they gave those people the leptin just to see if it could make them thin. It has to, that's their casualty test. And since it didn't pass that, they knew that, you know, that leptin was not the cause of the obesity. And it took them to experiment on people and get people sick, and some of them died, for them to realize that, not understanding leptin is a whole hormone. So you can't just inject massive amounts of hormones into people that you haven't even taken the time out to study. But y'all know how they do. So at the end of the day, that leaves us with the same question. What's causing this obesity, right? So then you got to break down the chemical mechanics of digestion. And okay, I want to make sure y'all are understanding everything. So before I break down the chemical mechanics of digestion, we know that obesity is not caused by an excess of calories, but instead by the body set weight that is too high because of a hormonal imbalance in the body. We all know that hormones are chemical messengers. They regulate many of our body systems and processes, literally, such as the appetite, fat storage, blood sugar levels, and so forth. But which hormones are responsible for obesity? Like that's the question. That's what we all trying to figure out. Leptin obviously ain't it. It's a key regulator of the body fat, but it didn't turn out to be that main hormone involved in setting the body weight. Ghrelin is like the opposite of leptin. It's the hunger hormone. That's the hormone that's released when you're hungry, and it sends that signal to the hypothalamus, letting you know that you're hungry, and that's what that is. But that didn't even play a role in the weight gain. They tried testing that, like they did the leptin. They tried injecting whatever, ghrelin into some people, and none of it worked. So now we're left like, okay, so if it's not those hormones, what other hormones could it be? So we're back on insulin, as I talked about yesterday. And I have to keep, I don't know, like repeating myself to just make sure y'all are really taking in this information, because we have to understand these hormones in general. Hormones are the molecules that deliver the messages to target a cell. So like, for example, the thyroid hormone delivers a message to the cells in the thyroid gland to increase its activity. We all know from yesterday, insulin delivers the message to the cells to take glucose out of the blood and use it for energy. To deliver these messages, these hormones must attach to a target cell by binding to the receptors on that cell's surface. It's almost like a lock and key. Insulin acts on the insulin receptor to bring glucose into the cell. So insulin is the key, and it fits snugly into the lock, which is the receptor. The door is open and glucose gets in. All the rest of the hormones practically work in roughly the same fashion. So when we eat these foods, they're broken down into the stomach and the small intestines. Like I said earlier, proteins are broken down into amino acids. Fats are broken into fatty acids. Carbs, which are chains of sugars, are broken into smaller sugars. Dietary fiber is not broken down. It literally moves through us without being absorbed. Fruits. This is fruits. You get the majority of your fiber, the most fiber you can ever possibly get is in fruits and vegetables. There is not a single ounce, not a single ounce. Hear me when I say, y'all, there is not a single ounce of fiber in meat products, none. It's not in anything related to the animal. And fiber is low key what the body needs, not protein, because we have protein within us. Our bodies automatically make the proteins from when we're eating. It's the fiber that we need. The more fiber that we're consuming, the quicker we get full. I don't know if you guys have just eaten enough fruit to kind of pay attention to it, but if you have, some of you can probably attest that you can eat a certain amount of fruit and get full faster than what you can eat a full course meal and eat that whole meal and still probably have a little room for more. Like I can eat maybe a slice of watermelon, and because it's packed with water, I get full so fast. It's the fiber in these fruits in which the body needs this fiber to actually allow us to thrive and excel and get that energy that we really need so we're not tired and sluggish. Let's see. Oh, okay. So like I was saying, dietary fiber is not broken down. It literally moves through us. It doesn't have to be absorbed. All cells in the body can use the blood sugar, the glucose, and certain foods, particularly refined carbs, raise blood sugar more than any other foods. The rise in blood sugar stimulates the insulin release. Protein raises insulin levels as well, although its effect on blood sugar is like really minimal. But dietary fasts, on the other hand, tend to raise both blood sugars and insulin levels, but minimally. Insulin is then broken down and rapidly cleared from the blood in like 2 to 3 minutes. But insulin is definitely a key regulator of energy and metabolism. And it is one of those fundamental hormones that promote fat accumulation and storage. Insulin facilitates the uptake of glucose into cells for energy. I said this yesterday. So when we're eating dinner time, you're ingesting carbs that leads to more glucose being available than needed. Insulin helps move this flood of glucose out of your bloodstream and into your storage for later use. We store this glucose by turning it into glycogen in the liver. Y'all see the liver up there. But the liver has only a limited storage space for glycogen. So once it's full, excess carbs will then be turned into fat. A process called de novo lipogenesis. De novo means from new, lipogenesis means making new fat. So altogether, de novo lipogenesis means to make new fat. So several hours after we eat, blood sugar and the insulin levels start to drop. Less glucose is available for use by the muscles, the brain, and the other organs, and the liver starts to break down glycogen into glucose to release it into the general circulation for energy, which usually happens at night, assuming you're not eating at night, like we're supposed to not be eating at night. So glycogen is literally easily available, but in limited supply, but it's easily available. During a short-term fast, your body literally has enough glycogen available to function. So who was that? Tim, you're doing an intermittent fasting, like your body is literally utilizing glycogen, which is how you're even able to function. You may feel weak, but I bet my last $2 that you're gonna keep on trucking through because of the glycogen. Let's see. And during the longer fast, like 4 maybe 7 days of a water fast, your body then starts making its own glucose from the fat stored. And that's a process called gluconeogenesis. It's literally making new sugar. The fat is burned to release energy, which is then sent out to the body. The fat storage process is kind of in reverse at this point because it's pulling from there. It's burning everything that has been stored. Insulin is basically a storage hormone. It's storing fat. Ample intake of food leads to insulin release. Insulin then turns on storage of sugar and fat. When there's no intake of food, insulin levels fall and burning of sugar and fat is turned on. This process happens every single day. And normally this well-designed, balanced system keeps itself in check. When we eat, insulin goes up. We store the energy as glycogen and fat. We fast, insulin goes down, and we use our stored energy. As long as we feeding and fasting, as long as our feeding and fasting periods are balanced, then the system remains balanced. So if you're eating breakfast at 7 a.m., I don't know how early everybody's eating, but you finish eating dinner at 7 p.m., you're leaving that whole entire 12 hours of fasting to focus on like balancing out everything that's taking place. But see, when our hormones are out of control and our hormones are literally controlling every decision we make, those that have, fasted with us previously, we spoke on the cortex and the amygdala and how when the amygdala has control, it ain't nothing you can do about it. The amygdala stores all the emotional memories. And once it's turned on, and the longer it's turned on, if you live in a constant state of anxiety, stress, you're always emotional, 9 times out of 10, you're operating out of your amygdala-based pathway to your brain every day. That's a whole nother lesson on the amygdala and the cortex, but it has everything to do with just emotions, emotional eating, the release of the hormones and things like that. So, like I said, if we have this fasting and fed period, and we're actually allowing our bodies to fast for a certain amount of time, which is why they created like the 16-8 and things like that, then everything is cool. It's easy for your body to go back into that homeostasis process. But like I said, when you're emotionally or hormonally imbalanced, you're eating any and every time you feel like eating. Every decision you make, every time you think you're hungry, that's exactly what you're doing. You're emotionally eating, you're eating for pleasure. You smell something, it smells good, so now you want to eat it. You low-key not even hungry, but you're just eating, you're eating, and you're not allowing your body that break to actually burn the fat. They try to implement that by promoting that whole keto diet, which is almost one of the dangerous diets they can actually promote. But again, that's another lesson. But the whole purpose of that is to eat fatty foods in order to get them to burn off faster. Whatever the case may be, if people are on a keto diet and they're still not allowing that break, it's going to be the same thing. So you're not allowing your body to actually break from its fed state and go into the fasting state so we can burn fat. So in other words, before you can even begin to burn fat, you start feeling hungry and anxious because your glycogen is becoming depleted. If you continually refill your glycogen stores, you never need to use the fat stores for energy. So all the fat that's already stored in you, you're not even allowing your body the opportunity to get to it. So the more you eat, the more it continues to build up. And over time, and over time, and over time, and over time, it just keeps building up. Okay, what happens to this excess fat that's produced through that de novo lipogenesis? Is then synthesized and turned around and stored as visceral fat. This fat is stored around the organs, under the skin, in the liver. This is where that consistent weight gain is coming from. Under normal conditions, high insulin levels encourage sugar and fat storage, but low insulin levels encourage glycogen and fat burning. So sustained levels of excessive insulin will tend to increase fat storage, and an imbalance between the feeding and fasting will lead to increased insulin, which causes increased fat, and voila, obesity. So in essence, insulin, just as yesterday, being that insulin was the cause of diabetes because those cells were overfilled with glucose and the cell was becoming resistant to the insulin. That exact insulin that's causing the diabetes is the same insulin that's causing us to gain weight. So at this point, we're now developing obesity because it's definitely not no last month I was healthy and this month I was classified as obese when I went to the doctor, unless them whole 30 days you was eating McDonald's every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Obesity develops when the hypothalamus orders the body to increase fat mass to reach the desired body set weight. Available calories are diverted to increase fat, leaving the body short of energy, calories. And the body's rational response is to try and get more calories. It increases the hormonal signals of hunger and decreases hormonal signals of satiety, like you're full. If anybody didn't know what satiety means, the feeling of being full, you're full. The body conserves calories needed for fat growth by shutting down other functions, and metabolism slows. The body set weight is tightly regulated. I hope everybody is following along and everything makes sense as of right now. So most people's weight remains relatively stable. When I was in high school, all 4 years of high school, I was the exact same weight, no matter what I did. Summertime, when I wasn't running track, I was eating everything I could put my hands on, but my weight remained the same. People that actually gain weight sometimes tend to do so like literally extremely gradually. I'm talking like 1 to 2 pounds a year. But this does not, this does not mean that the body set weight is unchanging, because over time there's a gradual upward, like resetting of the body's weight thermostat. Just in case anybody gets confused, is when I say like body set weight, I go back to the thermostat analogy so you can follow me. So ultimately, the key to understanding obesity is to understand what regulates that body set weight, right? Why is our body set weight set so high? And how do we reset it? Like I said earlier, as a key regulator of energy and storage, energy storage and energy balance, insulin is obvious, like is literally an obvious suspect of this body set weight regulator, but it can't just be insulin. Like if insulin causes obesity, it must do predominantly through its effects on the brain or in the brain. Because obesity is controlled in the central nervous system through the body set weight, not in the periphery. So in this hypothesis, high insulin levels increase the body set weight. High insulin levels increases the body set weight. The more insulin is present in the body, the higher the body set weight is going to go up. Same thing with people with lower insulin levels, those that are thin, people that are struggling to gain weight. They can't do so because their body set weight, their thermostat is set to whatever that it's been set to and is so used to. So even if they were to gain a couple of pounds, 10 to 15 pounds, they're gonna continue to, like, it's gonna keep resetting back down to its body set weight. It's gonna take for them to really like be injected with some insulin, like repeatedly, in order to actually successfully see a weight gain that's unhealthy. Who that? Who that? Who is me? No, it's not. I'm sorry, because I thought I was home alone, so I heard a voice. Y'all know how we gotta peek over and listen, because I had to make sure. Hello? Give me 1 second, y'all. Hey, hey. Oh, Zoom. Okay. Okay. I apologize about that. It's Ash's mom. Okay. Talking about the body set weight. Okay, so we finna touch on more of the insulin and cortisol because these are the two hormones that literally cause weight gain. At its core, it's not the sugar. It's not because we're consuming too much. It's not anything like that we've been told scientifically. It's what's going on internally within our bodies. And it's a multitude of things. It's like a domino effect because every system in the body is connected and correlates to one another. Those hormones is so powerful. I wish I had time to teach on how the amygdala operates and just overpowers the cortex, but it's powerful, y'all. And these hormones is running rampant within us. And there's literally nothing we can do about it other than being aware and fasting. So with that, by prescribing insulin, it won't matter that you have the willpower or that you exercise. It don't matter what you eat, you're gonna get fat. That's just the truth of it. There are millions of people living with diabetes, type 1 and type 2, that are dependent on insulin or they're prescribed insulin and they're injecting this in them. And one of the side effects of insulin for almost all of them is weight gain. This has been proven. It's on the CDC website. It's on WebMD. It's on ncbi.gov. Insulin, if you consistently take it, you will gain weight. It's simply a matter of enough insulin and enough time. High insulin secretion has long been associated with obesity. It's literally not new. Obese people secrete much higher levels of insulin than those of normal weight. Also in lean subjects, insulin levels quickly return to the baseline after a meal, but in obese, these levels remain elevated. So in essence, taking insulin, does taking insulin make you gain weight? Yes. The more insulin you give, the more obese you get. Insulin does cause obesity. Numerous studies, literally numerous studies conducted mostly on diabetic patients have demonstrated this fact that insulin causes weight gain. And like I said, it's literally used to treat both types of diabetes. In the type 1, like I said yesterday, there's a destruction of the insulin producing cells of the pancreas, resulting in very low levels of insulin. And those patients require insulin injections to survive per the, just the medical dialogue and requirements and standards. But in type 2 diabetes, cells are resistant to insulin and insulin levels are high. Type 2 diabetics don't always require insulin, and they're often treated with oral medications first. The metformins and stuff like that. And even those medications that they're prescribing, the metformins and the prednisones and all of that, prednisone is a fake cortisol. Cortisol causes weight gain. So with insulin causing obesity, that means that insulin must be one of the major controllers of the body set weight. So as insulin goes up, the body set weight goes up too. The hypothalamus sends out hormonal signals to the body to gain weight. Like that's how powerful these hormones are. All they have to do is send the signal to your brain and your brain is going to react automatically as part of our autonomic nervous system. So when this happens, when the hypothalamus sends out these hormonal signals to the body to gain this weight, guess what? We become hungry and we eat. If we deliberately restrict caloric intake, then our total energy expenditure will decrease. And the result is still the same, weight gain. It's not the eating, it's the hormones. I said earlier, when I changed my diet, the weight started falling off. I was eating every day. Like I'm eating full course meals. If anybody is following us on IG, y'all have seen some of the meals. We have a restaurant, y'all. Like we be cooking, throwing down full-blown, full course meals. Like it's not nothing we don't eat. And I have not picked that weight back up. The only time, and I like to experiment on myself because like I said, obesity was it was a personal thing for me. I wish I had like an old picture so I can show y'all before and after, because I was so insecure. But when I say I was eating, and I was not working out, I didn't have the time to work out at that time. It was the change of the diet, and with the hormones being released, everything switched up. It's like Ash normally teaches that the gut is the second brain. A lot of us don't realize that, but the gut is the second brain. 95% of serotonin is produced in our gut. So the more toxic we are, the more toxic things we're eating, the more toxic we become mentally. Physically, there's the weight gain. Oh, snap. Like I said, everything about human metabolism, including the body set weight, is hormonally regulated. Hormones, they tightly regulate body fat. We don't consciously control our body weight any more than we control our heart rates or our basal metabolic rates or our body temperatures or our breathing. These are all automatically regulated, and so is the weight. Hormones gonna tell us if we hungry, ghrelin. Hormones gonna tell us if we full, leptin or peptide. Hormones is gonna increase energy expenditure, adrenaline. Hormones shut down energy expenditure, the thyroid hormone. Obesity is a hormonal dysregulation of fat accumulation. Calories are literally nothing more than the proximate cause of obesity. Obesity is hormonal, not a caloric imbalance. There was a doctor, Dr. Robert Lustig. He's a pediatric obesity specialist. And I'm gonna send over that research when I send over this recording. But he did some studies and research himself, quite a few peer-reviewed studies, and he believes that high insulin levels act as an inhibitor of leptin, which y'all know leptin is the hormone that signals when you're full. Leptin levels increase with body fat. This response acts on the hypothalamus in a negative feedback loop to decrease food intake and return the body to its ideal weight. However, the brain becomes leptin resistant due to constant exposure. So it does not reduce its signal to gain fat. Both fasting insulin and fasting leptin levels are higher in obese people, indicating a state of both insulin and leptin resistance. The leptin response to like after you eat is different though, because in lean people, leptin levels rose, which makes sense because leptin is a satiety hormone. It lets you know when you're hungry. So theirs rose, but however, in obese people, the leptin levels fell. So despite the meal, their brains was not getting the message to stop eating. The crucial point to understand, however, is it's not insulin causes obesity, but that insulin does in fact cause obesity. It's not how it causes it, it does cause it. And once we understand that obesity is a hormonal imbalance, we can actually begin to treat that. If we believe that, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that still believes it, if you believe that excess calories cause obesity, then the treatment is to reduce the calories. But this method has clearly proven to not work. However, if too much insulin causes obesity, then it becomes clear we need to lower the insulin levels. The question is not how to balance calories. The question is how to balance our hormones at this point. But the most crucial question in obesity is how do we reduce the insulin? Can somebody tell me how do we reduce the insulin? I just said it yesterday.
Get it out. Move it out.
That's literally it. Get the glucose molecules out of those cells so that our cells can stop being so resistant to the insulin. The insulin can move the glucose into the cells. The cells will utilize it as it sees fit, and the rest of it will pass through. It won't be so full, overflowing with glucose to where the glucose is now leaking and falling out of the cells and just floating around in your bloodstream. And now it's converted into fat and it's stored in your muscle tissue and all it is. This fat is turned into visceral fat. Now it's around your organs, your bones, and everything else. When all we have to do is reduce the insulin. Same with cortisol. Cortisol is the so-called stress hormone. It mediates the fight or flight response as a set of physiological responses to perceived threats. Just the amygdala has everything to do with the amygdala. Cortisol has everything to do with the amygdala. Most people that are suffering from obesity or diabetes or anything in regards to weight loss, I can guarantee you more than half of them have been prescribed prednisone. That's a synthetic version of your natural human hormone, cortisol. And they use prednisone to treat a lot of diseases: asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, psoriasis, inflammatory bowel disease, cancer. They're using this synthetic version of a hormone that your body naturally creates to help you treat something, instead of explaining to you what the cortisol actually is, or explaining to you what insulin actually is and what's going on and what it's doing. At the core, they don't know. And that's literally just that. Some of my favorite doctors that I study from have admitted openly, because there's no ego. Like some of these doctors really genuinely care. They don't want to treat a disease. They actually want to help you reverse it. They will tell you that these doctors in their medical books, I've read through them, they are not studying nutrition. They are not taught nutrition. Some of them have to go off and take a whole nother course to actually learn nutrition, and then to learn everything else and to learn about these hormones and stuff like that. They're only taught to treat the symptoms associated with diseases, which sucks, because here we go. We're out here being prescribed medicine for things that has nothing to do with the actual disease. One of the most consistent side effects of prednisone, just like insulin, is it makes you fat. Not coincidentally, both insulin and cortisol play a key role in carbohydrate metabolism. Prolonged cortisol stimulation will raise glucose levels and subsequently insulin. And this increase in insulin plays a substantial role in the resulting weight gain. And cortisol is a part of a steroid hormones. So prednisone is a literal steroid. If anybody on here has been prescribed that or know somebody on it, they will tell you that what I'm saying is facts. Prednisone is a steroid. Cortisol, being a steroid hormone, called it's actually part of a class of steroid hormones called glucocorticoids, and that's really glucose plus the cortex plus the steroid. Now notice I spoke briefly on the brain and said how there's really two major pathways in the brain. There's the amygdala pathway and then there's your cortex pathway. Here we are hearing that cortisol is part of a class of steroid hormones that involve glucose, the cortex, and steroids. And that is all produced in the adrenal cortex. Like I said earlier, cortisol is essential in preparing our bodies for action: fight, flight, or flee. Fight, flight, or flee. So once released, cortisol substantially enhances glucose availability, which provides energy for the muscles, which is very necessary in helping us to get ready to run. If we're, fleeing from something, or if we're fighting, you get, the adrenaline gets to running and rampage and stuff like that. But ultimately, your hormones have ultimate control over whatever it is you're doing in that situation, whether you're fighting, fighting, or freezing. Because some people actually freeze. Their hormones get the best of them. It takes over 100% of their brain. The cortex is turned off. You see black, and you freeze. All available energy is directed towards surviving the stressful event. When in the event that's activated, that fight, flight, or freeze response is activated, all of the energy is directed towards surviving at that point. Everything is hormonal. So many hormones is just being released, from the adrenaline to the cortisol to even insulin, because now it's utilizing the energy. Like the energy is being created. Everything is going on at that time. A multitude, I'm talking about a lot of hormones is being produced in that very moment. In that same moment, proteins are broken down and converted to glucose. That's gluconeogenesis. Insulin, that's the storage hormone. It's under high insulin levels at this time. The body is storing energy in the form of glycogen and fat, but cortisol, however, prepares the body for that action, moving the energy out of those stores and into readily available forms, such as glucose. If there's already high levels of insulin and there's already too much glucose in the cells are insulin resistant. It's all just a whole bunch of stuff colliding. I need to turn the light back on there. So under conditions of like chronic stress, glucose levels remain high. There's no resolution to the stressor. Our blood glucose can remain elevated for months, literally months, triggering the release of insulin all the time without you even knowing. And chronically elevated cortisol leads to increased insulin levels. In a sense, insulin resistance should be expected since cortisol generally opposes insulin, but cortisol raises blood sugar while insulin lowers it. So does prednisone cause obesity? Absolutely, because it's a synthetic version of cortisol. Just like yesterday, y'all, I did not complete this actual presentation that I'm working on. And so I'm opening the door for questions, but at its core, in order to re-regulate and bring back that hormonal imbalance, fasting is one of the most effective and beneficial ways to do so. Hence the reason why when we are fasting, like I spoke on yesterday, if anybody's suffering from depression or an excessive amount of anxiety, all of that is regulated. Those hormones are beginning to balance themselves out. There's nothing in you for them to be released other than the ghrelin and the leptin, because those are they have everything to do with being hungry and to stop eating. So at the root core of why it is we're gaining weight, we're emotionally eating. We're gravitating to foods even though we don't realize that that's what we're doing, because everything revolved around food has everything to do with emotions. When we say you get a promotion, what do? You go out and celebrate, eat, have drinks. For kids do a good job. Most parents say, oh, I'll take you somewhere to eat, take them to McDonald's. We celebrate holidays, eating. Everything that we do is based on and around food. So every time we're eating, insulin levels are rising. And if you're already suffering from insulin resistance and the excess going on, your cells are resisting that insulin, causing the body to convert it to fat and then storing it. And then that eventually turns into visceral fat. And that visceral fat is what's causing like the pain and the symptoms associated with the type 2 diabetes, obesity, and everything else. In order to reverse that or fix that, or even begin to start on like on an effective, beneficial weight loss journey, we have to balance our hormones and get the excess glucose out of the cells so the cells can stop being insulin resistant. That's literally it. That's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what I advised a multitude of people to do. And it worked successfully. I hope the science of it made sense for the most part to everybody, because I try so hard to make sure I'm teaching it in a way that makes sense and you're not walking around like, yeah, what did that mean? So does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna go to the chat. Awesome. Are there hormone imbalance in foods you should eat more of? There are herbs that help to regulate hormonal imbalance, but those herbs, and those herbs, any herb would be used as an aid and not a cure-all. Like sea moss, for example, a lot of people, you know, if I take the sea moss, will I get this? Well, it will if you take it along with the right diet. Because if you're consuming sea moss to expel the mucus out of your body, but then you're turning around and you're eating these foods that form an excessive amount of the bad mucus, then it defeats the purpose of what the sea moss could possibly be doing. But there definitely are some herbs, and I will email that, because Ash is actually the queen of herbs. She got books and all of that stuff on that. That is her lane, and I know not to get in it, so I can't even name them off top. But there are definitely some herbs, and I will email that when I email this video. Let me take a note of that. Herbs for hormonal balance. Okay. Natural sugars and artificial. Doctors say that agave takes the same pathway of regular sugar. Can you share on this? It actually does, because the agave is processed. It goes through a process just like any of the other sugars, unless it's straight from the sugar cane itself. But agave is a more safe, more natural form of sugar. Agave and date sugar and coconut sugar or date syrup are definitely more safer than other sugars. Let me see. We need to do the fruit as a water fast. It's beneficial to just do a water fast without the fruits. That depends on you. We only utilize the fruits when we're doing the water fast or this Ironman fast, because the fruits actually help to boost and jumpstart the whole process of getting your bowels moving. You're getting that fiber intake to help push out any type of unwanted waste and toxins that may have accumulated, because a lot of us is walking around constipated, whether we know it or not. And so that's the purpose of the fruit, to literally just help to get the, speed up the process to regulate, bring the body into some type of homeostasis before diving straight into drinking water. Because you don't want to just go from eating a full course meal, just pigging out for like a whole month straight, and all of a sudden tomorrow you just water fast. You can literally shock the body and everything will work against you in a sense. The symptoms will be so much worse and everything like that. So you really have to prepare going into it versus just straight water fast. But if you already like eat healthy and you know you're mindful of what you're consuming, then it is okay to just skip the fruit part and go straight into a water fast. But everything depends on you know, your lifestyle. Wait a minute. I'm still sharing my screen. Stop share. Okay. 1 second.
I have a question.
Hey, that's your
Can you
question.
hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. So I was listening to you talking about like how you lost weight, and can you repeat that? Did you fast, or did you mostly fast, or did you just change your diet completely?
Yeah.
Like, when did you start noticing the weight coming on?
Because I didn't fast at all. I started fasting after the fact. After the weight was already, I got all the way up to 215 pounds. And in high school, I was 140. And so I guess when I got from 215, I want to say I was all the way down to like 170. That's when I did my first fast, like in 2019. And that kind of boosted the weight loss on a whole nother level. Because at that point, whatever wasn't falling off or you know, expending itself it started coming out. And so, yeah, it was just an overtime thing. I didn't even realize I was losing the weight until I realized my clothes were way too big and stuff wasn't fitting the same. And that was probably after I changed my diet. That was, if I can give it a timeline, that was probably 3 months before it literally just started falling off. And I was doing, and that's why I said I wasn't working out or anything. The most of what I was doing was like what I'm doing right now. I was in the studio. I'm either recording, writing, or engineering and stuff like that. So I didn't have time to actually work out. And it was just falling off. I'm eating everything I want to eat. And it wasn't even no healthy stuff. And see, I'm just being completely honest with everybody out here. So y'all know I'm not trying to pretend to be somebody I'm not. But I was eating all the, Impossible burgers, whatever was I can get in the store at the time that was vegan. I was eating all that processed stuff and the weight was still falling off. So that's probably why from 215 to 170, it was 170 for a minute until I actually did the fast. Because at that point, it's like, now I'm actually giving my body that break to eliminate these processed foods and stuff like that. But it was about a hot 3 or 4 months after changing my diet where that much weight fell off.
Okay, I have another question.
What's that?
So I learned a lot tonight. Thank you so much. My oldest son, right? He suffers from anxiety, which I didn't know this. He just recently got his own place, but he's been telling me like he's been seeing a therapist and he suffers from anxiety. And I was just telling him for like the last year or so, I've been trying to tell him, you eat too much. Like he's not overweight, but he eats a lot and he cooks almost every meal. Like, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, why do you eat so much? And he makes big meals. And I really think it's, like you said, hormonal. Do you have something that I could reference? Because when I tell him things, he don't believe me. Like, he's just like, I have to do my own research. Like, he don't believe nothing I say. I would love it. Do you have something I could reference and just say, here, read this? Like, this might help with your anxiety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can actually send you over Jason Fung. If anybody wants to look it up, Jason Fung has a book called The Obesity Code.
Jason Fung?
Yeah, Dr. Jason Fung. It's called The Obesity Code, Unlocking the Secrets of Weight Loss. I get a lot of my stuff, like I study from him almost religiously because he's so open, he's honest. He has his resources backed up to validate all of his claims. He's, an actual medical doctor. He's a nephrologist, but it was him treating patients with kidney diseases and realizing that those kidney issues correlated to diabetes and obesity and stuff like that, to where he started writing different books on each disease. And so definitely Jason Fung, The Obesity Code. Okay. Check it out.
Okay, I'll look that up. Thank you.
No problem. It almost got like 900 and some, probably 1,000 pages to it, but it's definitely worth it.
Thank you so much.
No problem. I got you.
On Audible too. That book is on Audible too.
Audible? Oh, I have Audible. Good. Okay.
Hey, and if you got a credit, there you go.
I got 2 credits.
Hey. How do we regulate the hormones? Yeah, you literally by fasting. Fasting, especially if you go to 48, 72 hours, everything about the hormones going on within you will literally switch up, complete 180. That is the most effective way to go about doing it. And then it's up to you to keep up the just feeding yourself right, because what we eat is what causes that toxicity and that just those hormones that become imbalanced, where you have some hormones regulated to make you happy, some regulated to make you mad, the hormones that sex hormones. A lot of people don't realize that some of the foods we eat, not the aphrodisiacs, but like eggs and stuff, they are loaded with estrogen. And those alone causes the biggest issue of hormonal imbalance, especially in women. And so it's really about just fasting, re-regulating your body, bringing it back to homeostasis, and then being mindful of what you eat and understanding that there are hormones in every single thing that you eat, especially when you're consuming the animal products. There are hormones in the animal products, not the fruits and vegetables, but these animals, cows and all of that stuff, whatever it is they were going through before they were slaughtered, you have the adrenaline, the fear, the depression, everything that animal went through before it was slaughtered produced an excessive amount of hormones, and then it's literally passed. That energy is transferred into that food, and then when you eat it, you have just consumed that energy of said animal. That's where the multitude of all of our hormones come from. Let's see. No, insulin does go up slightly when you're eating fruits, slightly. And it's only slightly because the sugar in fruits is fructose. It is not glucose. It's two different types of sugar. And fructose needs little to no insulin to be absorbed into the bloodstream. Like at most times it can go straight into the bloodstream without even utilizing the insulin, but sometimes it does. And so when it does use it, it go up slightly and it falls back down in a matter of minutes. Good way to balance hormones when experiencing menopause, fasting. Like that's the main reason why we fast every month, guys. This is the purpose of this Ironman fast. It's and giving you this education to hold you to it, to know how and why it's working. But when you're eliminating what you're consuming that's causing these hormones and everything to get out of whack, once you eliminate it, give your body a break, let it focus on healing, out goes those hormones as well. All great information. Oh, thanks. Okay, I need help with mixing fruit. Need help with mixing fruit and water. Not sure if I'm doing it right. You don't necessarily have to mix your fruit and your water. Fruit is water predominantly. Oh, I'm gonna send y'all that too. So I'm gonna send herbs that help balance the hormones, and then I'm gonna actually send y'all a water content chart that these fruits and vegetables contain, because you'd be surprised. Like watermelon, I can't spit it out like, I know it like the back of my hand, but I think watermelon is like 94% water. All the melons are like 94% water. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, mushroom, like all of this stuff is literally 80% and up content water. So when we're eating these fruits, or we call it juice. Like if you got a juicer and you're juicing your fruits and vegetables, we call it juice, but we're literally drinking water. So when you're eating your fruit, you're actually eating your water. You don't necessarily have to mix them if you don't want to. For the cold water therapy, definitely do the cold ice facial. Like first thing in the morning, it kind of helps regulate and get everything going. Kind of help you jumpstart the day. And if you don't want to do that, then do the cold shower in the morning. And then if you want, turn around and do it at night. It's okay to do 2 cold showers in a day, but it's not okay to like take 2 hot showers in a day. At that point, you're washing off the oils on your skin, the peptins on your skin that actually protect you from hurt, harm, and danger, I should say. The oils that our skin produce, our skin is our largest immune organ. It's the first line of defense. If anything gets into you, it has to go through your skin first. So when you're showering every day, multiple times a day, and your water is so hot, like I call it back burning ass water. That's literally what I call it. If the water turn around and it like it's way too hot, it's literally getting rid of some important oils and stuff in the skin. So if you guys didn't know that, definitely be mindful. Try not to have your water way too hot, but the cold water is definitely therapeutic. It's healing. It helps to overall boost the immune system. Despite, anything we may have been told, some people think, cold water slows down, whatever. It's just like drinking cold water. You're not supposed to drink cold water, especially when you're eating. Let it be room temperature. It should definitely be room temperature anyways, because it kind of throws off your body's temperature, your body's normal or regular temperature. Pescatarian diet, I wouldn't advise that to anybody. And that's just being honest. I check out Seaspiracy. I don't know if it's on Netflix. I know Cowspiracy is. Seaspiracy may be on there. I'm gonna type it in the chat, but Seaspiracy will educate you on just seafood in a whole nother way that will definitely require too much time if I was to just dive in. But seafood, it contains a lot of mercury, and you'll have people that are arguing and say, well, it's little small trace amounts and it's still safe, but mercury is detrimental to our health. And whether it's small amounts or not, over time, especially if we've been eating seafood our entire life, just imagine how much mercury has built up within your body by now. So it's definitely not safe. It's just like with fillings, how dentists used to use mercury for fillings, and then that came out to be like it's a carcinogen. It causes cancer. Seafood is just not it. And so that's just, my honest opinion on that. If you're gonna, eat fish every now and then, it's your choice. Your body is your lifestyle, it's whatever you choose. But just be mindful in knowing that seafood ain't the best, especially in these waters nowadays. So, try to get through. Did I miss anyone? Does anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns? You mentioned processed foods and impossible meats. My son cannot consume nuts. I can try a nut meat version. I'm curious on how to use mushrooms for meat sauce. Oh, there's so many things you can do with mushrooms, especially depending on the mushrooms. Then you got jackfruit and all types of stuff to be used as. But if anything, you guys are going to receive quite a few recipe books from us, and so those recipe books will have a good breakdown of different things, different meals, whether they're alkaline meals or just regular vegan meals. For everybody on this current fast, I'm going to send everybody a copy of our first cookbook. Our cookbook actually has substitutions. So if anybody's like not vegan, but at least want to give it a try, and you want, access to some recipes, in our cookbook, we have a breakdown of like what butter to substitute, cheeses to substitute, how to make your own cheese, how to make your own milk, all of that stuff, as well as some good lunch ideas, dinner ideas. It's been so long since we made that first cookbook, so I can't even remember how much is in it, but I'll definitely send it to all of you. It's called Heal Thyself. It's the same meals we was cooking when we first, when we went vegan, and so it helped us get by. It's everything from like Alfredo pasta, I think enchilada. It's some good stuff in there. So I'll send that out. Jackfruit tacos are the bomb. Oh, and hibiscus flower. I don't know if y'all know that you can eat and cook with hibiscus flower, but when I say it is so good, it's like a Mexican culture thing. I think it's more popular in their culture, but I've been using hibiscus flower as our meat replacement, that and mushrooms, for like the past month, consistently, for nachos, tacos, burritos. Like, that hibiscus flower comes in a clutch, and it's so easy to make. You just, like, say you have a cup of dried hibiscus flower, or maybe 2 cups of dried flour, and you put it in a pot, bring it to a boil, fill it up with water, like a lot of water, but bring it to a boil, pour out, like, strain that first batch, and make sure when you strain it, you store that what you're straining into a container, because you could drink the hibiscus tea. So make sure you strain it into like a pitcher, add some more water, boil it again, just so you're, it's all about the texture. It's a whole flower. And so you're boiling it to not only get the, hibiscus tea out of it, to break it down to a texture that's kind of meaty, like, believe it or not, for a flower. But after that second boil, strain it again, add some agave or whatever it is, sugar you want to sweeten it, put that in the fridge, take the hibiscus flower itself, probably chop up some garlic and onion, put some oil in a skillet, throw the garlic and onion in there, throw the flour in there, and cook it like you would anything else. Like, it's literally that easy. Start throwing your seasonings in there, because everything is better with seasoning. But yeah, cook it for about maybe 10, 12 minutes, depending on how hot your skillet is, and voila, you have hibiscus flower meat. Put that in some tacos or use that as like some nacho toppings or whatever the case may be, but it tastes good. It tastes really, really good. And it's y'all don't know the benefits of hibiscus. Let me break it down right quick. Here we go.
I made a sandwich with hibiscus flowers and like Mexican crema, a vegan version of it. It was last year, but I can't remember the recipe, but I made it. I made 2 sandwiches. It was really good.
I'm telling you, it's busting. And the benefits of hibiscus protects with antioxidants. It fights inflammation. It lowers blood pressure, lowers cholesterol, promotes weight loss. It fights bacteria and supports liver health. I just literally Googled that right quick just to like, hibiscus is amazing. Y'all got to get on that. But
I would have never thought that they would have been good as a meat.
Girl, you slip. It's cool. I was once there. I didn't know either.
I didn't know, but I'm gonna try it for sure because I've been eating so many mushrooms that I'm like, all right, and I do like the jackfruit too, but I'm gonna try it out, see if I like it.
I didn't know it was a thing. We went out to eat at like one of our favorite Mexican restaurants, and they titled it Mexican brisket. And so when I asked, what is the actual substitute? And they were just like, oh, it's just hibiscus flower. And I said, it's what? No, it's not hibiscus flower. Like the actual flower, like the plant, like flower. So we eating flower, like leaves. She was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let me try that. Just being goofy. I had already prepared myself mentally. If I'm not gonna like it, I can't even be mad at them because I asked to try it. But it was really good. Like really good. And if you make it yourself at home, like after you boil it those 2 times, you have to strain it, you can literally just put it in the refrigerator and go back to it whenever you're ready to cook. That's something you can like meal prep ahead, like meal prep that on a Sunday, and then Monday, take it out the fridge, throw it in a skillet with your seasonings and stuff, and then use that as your meat for Monday night's dinner. Let's see. Are there any more questions, comments, and concerns? What is helpful with eczema? CMOS. If you don't have an overactive thyroid or like an allergy to iodine and stuff like that, CMOS will clear up some eczema faster than you can blink. CMOS is great for the skin. And it's part due to the fact that it not only does it expel mucus out of the body, it actually draws toxins out of the body as well. And just like a multitude of what we experience, the most of it is either from an excessive amount of bad mucus or what was I saying? Or the toxins trying to find its way out due to just our lifestyle. Some of the things that we think are natural aren't natural, and our body has a way of communicating that. Most of the time when toxins and parasites and stuff and waste is trying to come out through the body, it makes its way out of the body in the easiest way that it can. And for most people, that's straight through the skin. It's known as acne. A lot of people don't even know and realize that like your body is building up with an excessive amount of toxins that is trying to filter it out and get rid of it somehow. So it's starting to come out through the skin. When we develop like mustiness, that is not normal. That's how, imagine if you don't like the way you smell musty or your morning breath, imagine what's going on with you internally inside your gut. That's a clear indicator of your health internally, those things. And even that alone, there's studies on that as well. But like I said, I like to experiment. Me and Ash, we like to experiment on these things ourselves. And when we fast, you'll notice that either like gas lets up, or if you do have a bowel movement, it doesn't smell. You can go the whole 3 or 4 days without putting on any deodorant and you smell perfectly fine. Not a single sign of must. You can wake up in the morning and good morning, my love. And your breath is it's tolerable. Like, it's like, what? Like, what you brushed your teeth already? I just woke up. But our bodies literally communicate to us in a way that we're not aware of it because we're simply not taught these things. And so that's what we try to do, to kind of help you all get a better understanding of yourself, your body, what to look out for, what to pay attention to, and how to communicate back to yourself. Fevers and all of that. When you get a fever, please don't go to the medicine. That fever is your body's immune response. Your body has recognized something that it doesn't, it's a foreign agent going on, floating around, that could possibly cause you to get sick and spread to something bigger than what it can imagine. So these cells are naturally trying to attack it and kill it off. If it's too much for those cells to handle, they signal and release a hormone to the hypothalamus, again, hormonal, send that to the hypothalamus, and this chemical that's released is called pyrogen. That is how we actually get the fevers. That pyrogen activates the a rise in your body's temperature. So when we try to take medicine, when we get these fevers because we think we're sick, we're actually making it worse. We're prolonging the healing process instead of just allowing your body to, heat you up and bring you back down to its normal temperature once it fights off whatever that bacteria, because that's why it's heating up, to basically kill off that bacteria. It's like boiling water before using it. You're killing the bacteria in the water. Our bodies work in the same exact way. Inflammation is one of the same. If you have inflammation in a certain part of your body more often, there's definitely something in that part of the body that your cells have identified as the enemy. And so in order to prevent that virus or that antigen from spreading and causing something worse, it activates the inflammation. So that area becomes inflamed in order to keep said whatever that is away and out of the body. So inflammation is our body's working for us. A cough, a sneeze, all of that is immune response. Did anybody else have any more questions, comments, concerns? I got your email, Kenyatta. Thank you, fam. Well, if not, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. It'll be me and Ash both on tomorrow. Tonight, I'm gonna send over this recording with herbs that will help with the hormonal balance. But please keep in mind that these herbs are used as an aid. They're not a cure-all. I'm gonna send over the chart with the water content so you guys will know how much water you're consuming when you're just eating food, and our cookbook for the most part. But yeah, tomorrow's day 3 for fruit for, everybody that's following along with the actual fast. Those of you, you've done this before, so you doing your own thing, or you've experienced something that you like, weight loss or something. And so it's like, okay, I like this. So you doing something on your own. Either way, everybody keep up the amazing work. Tomorrow, for those of you that are following the Ironman fast, take note of the last time you eat. Open up that Life app after your last meal and hit start fast. And that's it. That's literally it. Open up the Life app and hit start fast. And make sure it's set to the time you whatever that last thing you consumed. And yeah, it'll help you along the way and showing and teaching you what your body is going through at that time. I get the hibiscus flowers from pretty much the store or any type of market here. Amazon, you can get them on Amazon. Just order dried hibiscus flowers, and it's very affordable, very affordable. But other than that, light and love to all of you, and keep up the good work. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, fam. All you beautiful people.
All right, girls. See y'all tomorrow, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Hello.
Hey.